Thank you, Austin. I appreciate it. And to be here, to hear just the accomplishments of Senator Isakson, or as one of the people that you go along, you find in life that you have to know him by a title or you have to know him by a last name. In the state of Georgia, when you say Johnny, everybody knows who you're talking about, especially when it comes to our politics. And for me, to rattle off everything that's already been said, it's breathtaking what you've done and what you accomplished from business to career, and those are things that's worthy of the page in your life. But for many of us here, just as my friends were saying earlier, you have a personal attachment to many of us, whether you realize it or not. For those of us who come forward in public service and you need role models and mentors, and you hear about those who succeeded and failed and succeeded and failed, and which is something many of us have to get used to, whether we want to or not. For me, it's watching you in the times when probably you didn't know you were being watched. It was the times when I watched you as a young person in the State House in Georgia going to a meeting, and they recognized and said, you know, Johnny is here, would you like to say a few words? And for most of us, it's struggling just to come up with a couple of words that actually sound good together, much less sentences. But Johnny Isakson would stand up and for the next 5 minutes rattle off a speech that you would have swore would have been honed for years, and it touched the very soul of everybody there. I was in awe, and I watched you do it so many times. You listened. In this business, that's pretty impressive. And that's why you got stuff done. I remember every time I would come to you, and there would be times that I would be asking a question, and I would go along, and instead you would listen, you would answer the question, and I went away feeling better just by being with you. I remember when I talked to you right after you announced us that you were going to leave a big hole in our delegation. And the first thing you said to me when I picked up the phone, as you did almost every time, Doug, thank you. You're doing a great job. Even when I knew that probably wasn't true. When you understand, though, what it takes to lift people up, you leave a mark. You leave a special mark. For those of us in politics who struggled many times over the past few years to go into groups that would call us names and not like us, even when they supposedly were on our side, I watched what you did. You would go into those groups. You would sneak in the back after the meeting started. They would see you there. They would recognize you. And you stood and you spoke. You never backed up. You never backed down. But you made a lot of converts simply by being there. For those of us in public service, if you showed me or showed anybody anything, is it being in the room, being a participant, listening to people and caring about them, even if you disagree with them, is the largest step we can take to make sure that we have a union that matters. So from me and my house, for a profession that we have taken on who needs role models, we stand on your shoulders. You are the giant in the room from our perspective of watching what happens and how it happens. And when I got to Washington, D.C., I knew the one thing that I wanted to do was actually pass legislation, because I'd heard you say one time before, why we come up here if we don't get anything done? Johnny, you were far beyond the policy. You were to the heart of people, and it will be missed in this place. But it is alive now, and we turn to you and that vision more than anything. And of course, as you know, I still represent part of Athens and Clark County. You're a Georgia graduate. And as we sort of say around those parts, Johnny, you're a damn good dog. I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.